we had section 7, which is required attachments to application. That was most of the stuff covered by the merit rubric and cultivation, so I added a section 8 for optional attachments to application. I couldn't think of anything better to call it. If you have something better to call it, great.
So, at this point, we're looking at these, on a dispensary, that there are just minimum criteria to be approved by ABC goes through it. I guess one of the questions I have is, when you look at section 7, required attachments to the application, this does get into, I mean, who's going to judge that? You know, if someone's putting in for a dispensary, I mean, are these all required then, such that they have to have someone who's had an owning or managing business for that require 24-hour security monitoring? And what does 24-hour security monitoring mean? A bank, a pharmacy,
It
you know?
could be any of those things. I mean, I think these, it's just applicants' knowledge or experience with. They may not have.
So if they don't, does that exclude them from?
No.
Okay.
So this is kind of the way I see this, and this is the way you guys have it set up. They're submitting this for the dispensaries because what they submit typically in part of their application is what you go by. Is they have to operate by that. So the way it works with dispensaries is they will submit all of this with their application. So they'll have all of this presented to us, their answers, whether it's no experience or experience. If they filled out the forms that will ask these questions, then they go into the lottery, because dispensaries are pure lottery, right? And so the successful draws will then come back before you and have a hearing. So you'll sort of have their information in front of you. You can ask them questions about what they've submitted, you know, that kind of thing.
Let's just say someone puts in and there's just, let's say all 5 of us said, you know, this is really a horrible application based on, I mean, they hit all the minimums, we start looking at, you know, business experience or whatever. Is there, I mean, we can review it, but is there, do we tell them, yeah, you got the lottery, but we just think your application is short on these factors, therefore you're not eligible to get a license, and we rejected that, which then kind of puts us back into, it's almost like lottery first, merit second. So I'm just trying to wonder how we're going to really make that, because to me, if it's going to get into that subjective realm, we're trying to say, well, this guy looks like they would be successful in doing it, they wouldn't based on these criteria. If it's irrelevant, why is it there? If it's relevant, what are we going to do with
it is,
the
this
information?
is why it's relevant, because when you come back and you have this hearing, and let's say that it's a horrible applicant, and you deny them, you're going to prepare an order. All of this, because you are requiring a hearing for the issuance of the application, falls under the Administrative Procedure Act. So you will have to issue an order following your hearing that lays out the reasons why you have rejected them. And you will come back to these rules to say, you have never had any experience in 1 through 10. You didn't meet any of the criteria or things that we ask you to submit in your application.
And should we objectively define that of these 10? Because let's say someone, they're good in regulated industries, they've had agriculture, but they've never run a 24-hour security business. I mean, I don't think that should necessarily exclude that applicant from starting this business. And so if we have them on there and they come in, are we going to be ultra strict and say, well, you know, you don't have a 24-hour security?
It says required.
So it is required. So they're going to have.
What if we word it for dispensaries? What if we worded it like this? So they're going to have to give you their education, their knowledge, and their experience. The applicant's education, knowledge, and experience, including but not limited to these things. So there may be something on here that you guys haven't covered, but they may be super experienced in something.
Yeah, so I would hate to exclude someone because they didn't check all 10 of these boxes. I mean, I get that would be a strong application, but are we really going to, you know, tell someone, yeah, you got everything, but you've got no agriculture or horticulture experience, even though it's a dispensary, they're not necessarily growing anything.
They have to have
well, this is the
so
growing.
they have to have.
This is for the dispensaries that want to grow.
Okay, they want to go. So if they're growing, I can see that. Let's say you're just a pure, hey, I'm going to sell product. I'm just selling donuts. I'm not making donuts.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
That's been reduced over here.
Okay, then we reduce it there. All right, I just want to make sure we don't
Yeah.
That we don't overdo it and exclude people that would be legitimate.
So the non-cultivating dispensaries don't have things like agriculture and horticulture. They don't have some other, it was reduced from 10 to 7 items that they have experience with.
Okay.
But I think you could also, if you want to add language that including but not limited to.
Does it not, I mean, after hearing the procurement, does it not make sense, I guess I'm just asking, it makes a lot of sense to me to say, we're treating dispensaries so much like cultivators. I guess I'm probably of the opinion we ought to just make it a merit-based system, just the same way. I mean, we're ultimately doing the same thing, and it seems like it's a lot easier to try to affirmatively do it on the front end than to try to do it at a hearing once we've already gone all the way through.
I have a concern that this is completely required, that every person applying for, I know 3 of them are gone on if you're not cultivating, but is that too high? And I guess my question, is that too strict of a requirement? Maybe it's not, but I'm just posing the question. I'm not convinced myself either way. But
Well, I don't know that it's, I'm not saying it's not too strict. I think it's just one of those, I kind of like where we're going with the cultivator, the cultivation facilities. We set it up, we score it, do the same thing. I mean, it's a lot easier to score one, obviously, if they're not going to grow. I foresee that being like always, however, whenever we get to the forms, I know we're not there, but there's got to be some kind of checkbox. I'm going to grow, and if you intend to grow, check this box and fill out, these other pages. But if not, we don't have to.
And if you're gonna grow, there has to be rules. I mean, you can't just not.
Well, I think we ought to treat them the same.
I agree.
I mean, that's my point. It's kind of like having a back door into growing. And I realize there's bills filed and all that. But I don't think we can count on any of that. So I think we've got to. It makes the most sense to me to say, let's put in the same merit system for the dispensaries as we do for the cultivators, and we can just make it. It's a lighter version, obviously, if they're not going to grow. But that's how I think that makes the most sense to me.
I'll make a motion